You have been told that success is about luck. You have been told that the right opportunity will change everything. You have been told that talent is what separates the exceptional from the ordinary. But I want to speak to you about something far more fundamental, far more quiet, and far more powerful than any of these myths. Success is not built on luck. Success is not built on a single moment. Success is not built on talent alone. Success is built on something so ordinary, so available to every single person, that most people overlook it entirely. Success is built on standards. Think about what a standard truly is. A standard is not a dream. A dream is something you hope for when you close your eyes. A standard is something you demand from yourself when you open them. A standard is a line you draw in the sand and say, I do not cross below this. When you establish a standard, you are not saying what is possible. You are saying what is necessary. You are not saying what would be nice. You are saying what is non-negotiable. The person who achieves excellence does not achieve it by accident. They achieve it because somewhere, at some point, they looked at themselves and said, this is what I require from myself. This is what my work must look like. This is how I must show up. This is the minimum I will accept. And from that moment forward, every decision they make is filtered through that standard. But here is where most people fail. They confuse wanting something with demanding something. They confuse hoping for something with requiring something. There is a world of difference between these two states. When you hope, you are passive. When you demand, you are active. When you hope, you give yourself permission to accept less. When you demand, you give yourself permission to accept nothing less. So many people say they want to be successful. So many people say they want to be healthy. So many people say they want to be respected. But wanting is not a power. Wanting is a whisper. Demanding is a force. Demanding is a commitment. Demanding is a standard. Now, let me tell you about the invisible work. This is the work nobody sees. This is the work that happens when nobody is watching. This is the work that builds everything that looks like overnight success. Imagine, if you will, that success is like a building. People walk past the building and they see the structure. They see the beauty. They see the strength. They see how it stands tall against the elements. What they do not see is the foundation. They do not see the months of digging. They do not see the engineers planning every detail. They do not see the workers pouring concrete in the heat. They do not see the quality inspections that happen in the darkness. They do not see any of that. They only see the finished building. This is precisely how success works. People see the results. They see the achievement. They see the success. But they do not see the standards that built it. They do not see the early mornings. They do not see the refusals to settle. They do not see the corrections made in private. They do not see the standards being maintained when nobody is keeping score. There is a principle that few people understand. Success is built in private. Everything that matters is built in private. Your health is built in private, through choices made when you are alone in your kitchen, deciding what to eat. Your knowledge is built in private, through hours spent in quiet study when nobody is applauding you. Your character is built in private, through thousands of small decisions to do the right thing when nobody is watching. Your relationships are built in private, through honest conversations and consistent presence. All of it is built in private. And at the foundation of all that private work is a single thing: your standard. Your standard determines what you do when the spotlight is off. Your standard determines what you accept from yourself when nobody will ever know. Your standard is the voice inside you that says yes or no before you ever open your mouth to anyone else. Now, I want to speak to you about preparation. This is a concept that sounds simple, but is rarely lived. Most people misunderstand preparation entirely. They think preparation is something you do before the important moment. But this is backward. Preparation is not about the moment. Preparation is about becoming the kind of person who belongs in that moment when it arrives. Consider this principle. When opportunity meets a prepared mind, something remarkable happens. But this is not magic. This is cause and effect. This is the result of standards applied daily. You see, opportunity does not care about your hopes. Opportunity does not care about your wishes. Opportunity only recognizes preparation. A person with high standards is constantly preparing. They are preparing, not because they know when the moment will come. They are preparing because they have decided that they will be ready if it does come. Think of this in concrete terms. A musician practices scales not because they enjoy the repetition. They practice scales because they understand that mastery is built through standards applied to the mundane. When they step on stage, they are not hoping they will remember. They are stepping on stage as someone who has already lived 1,000 moments of preparation. The stage is simply where their preparation becomes visible. Or consider someone in business. A person with high standards takes every meeting seriously. They prepare thoroughly. They listen intently. They follow up diligently. They do this not because that particular meeting might be the one that changes everything. They do this because they have established a standard for how they show up, and that standard does not change based on whether anyone important is watching. Then one day someone notices. Someone recognizes the quality of their work. An opportunity emerges. But this person is not shocked. They are not unprepared. They have been ready. They have been living at their standard all along. The opportunity did not create their readiness. The opportunity simply revealed it. This is the law that most people never fully grasp. You do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your standards. When pressure comes, when the moment matters, you do not become someone new. You reveal who you already are. You reveal the standards you have been living by in private. Think about what happens when pressure is applied. Pressure is a revealer. Pressure shows you things about yourself you cannot see in ordinary circumstances. And pressure shows everyone else the same things. Consider two examples. Imagine a person who says they value their health. They talk about wanting to be fit. They post about their goals online. They make plans. But when the pressure of a difficult week arrives, when work is demanding and stress is high, what do? They skip the exercise. They eat poorly. They tell themselves it is just this week. But this week becomes 2 weeks. 2 weeks becomes a month. And at the end of the month, a person looking from the outside learns something true about their actual standards. Their actual standard for health is not as high as their verbal claim. Their actual standard is, I will prioritize my health when circumstances are convenient. Now imagine another person. This person also values their health. But their standard is different. Their standard is, I move my body every day. I do this whether I feel like it or not. I do this whether circumstances are easy or difficult. This is not negotiable. When pressure comes, when the week is difficult and the stress is high, this person still exercises. Not because they suddenly have more time or more energy, but because their standard transcends circumstances. And a person observing learns something true about them. They learn that this person has actually decided what matters, and they actually mean it. The same is true in another sphere. Imagine someone building a business. They tell themselves they are committed. They work hard for a while. But when difficulty arrives, when sales slow down or a competitor emerges, or the market shifts, what do? Many people abandon their standards. They cut corners. They make compromises they said they would never make. They tell themselves it is temporary. It is just until things get better. But standards that only apply in comfortable times are not standards. They are preferences. But a person with real standards holds firm. When difficulty comes, they do not lower their standards for their product. They do not compromise on their principles. They do not lie to their customers. They do not treat their team poorly. Their difficulty becomes a test, and the test reveals what they truly believe. A person watching learns something profound. They learn that this person's words match their actions. They learn that this person can be trusted. This is the invisible power of standards. Standards reveal you. Standards show who you actually are when nobody is forcing you to be good. And standards, applied over time, build something real. Now let me speak to you about focus. This is perhaps the most underestimated power available to any person in the modern world. Focus is not fashionable. Focus is quiet. Focus does not announce itself. But focus is where all real achievement lives. In our time, there is an epidemic of distraction. There are more distractions available to you right now than existed for all of human history combined. Every moment of every day, there are countless things demanding your attention. Countless things asking for a piece of your focus. And most of them are designed by brilliant people whose only job is to get and keep your attention. This is not accidental. This is deliberate. And if you treat your focus as a casual thing, if you treat your attention as something you give away freely, then you will never build anything real. You will never reach any standard worth reaching. A person with high standards guards their focus like they guard their life. Because in a real sense, your focus is your life. Your life is the sum of where you place your attention. You cannot focus on growth and simultaneously focus on entertainment. You cannot focus on excellence and simultaneously focus on mediocrity. You cannot focus on your goals and simultaneously focus on other people's goals. This does not mean you live a joyless life. This does not mean you never rest. This means you choose what receives your focus deliberately. This means you understand that focus is a limited resource, and you spend it as carefully as a person spends money they have earned through hard work. Think about a single day. You have perhaps 16 waking hours. You have countless things that could demand your attention. Your email, your phone, your social circles, news, entertainment, work, family, health, spiritual practice. The list is endless, and most people approach this list with no strategy at all. They simply react to whoever shouts loudest. They focus on whatever demands attention most urgently, but a person with high standards approaches focus differently. They identify what actually matters. They identify what actually builds their future, and they protect that focus. They say no to many things, so they can say yes to the few things that matter. They understand a simple principle. Your focus determines your future. Here is the deeper truth. Standards cannot be maintained without focus. You cannot hold a high standard if your attention is scattered in 1,000 directions. You simply cannot. The two are inseparable. To raise your standards, you must simultaneously guard your focus. You must decide what is worthy of your attention. And you must fiercely protect that decision. Now I want to walk you through the sequence of growth. This is the actual pathway. This is not theory. This is the pattern that appears again and again in anyone who has achieved anything real. The sequence begins with learning. You must first understand. You must first study. You must first gather knowledge about what you want to build, what you want to become, how excellence actually works in your chosen domain. This learning is not passive. This learning is active. You read, you observe, you ask questions, you immerse yourself in understanding. But learning alone changes nothing. Knowledge alone is just information. So the sequence moves to application. You take what you have learned and you apply it. You try, you practice, you do. You make mistakes in this phase. You try things that do not work. This is necessary. This is how learning actually becomes real. Then comes evaluation. After you have applied what you learned, you step back and you assess. What worked? What did not work? What did you learn from the attempt? This is not judgment. This is honest assessment. Many people skip this step. They simply repeat the same actions over and over, wondering why nothing changes. But a person who grows stops and evaluates. They look at their results honestly. They ask hard questions. From evaluation comes correction. You adjust. You modify your approach based on what you have learned. You do not simply try harder. You try differently. You implement the understanding you have gained, and then you return to application. You try again with this new understanding. This cycle continues. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, apply again. This is how people actually improve. And underneath this entire sequence sits something essential: persistence. You do not stop after one cycle. You do not stop after one failure. You do not stop after one setback. You persist through the cycle again and again until you reach your standard. This is where most people fail. They enter the cycle, but they do not stay in it long enough. They grow tired. They grow discouraged. They abandon the sequence before it produces results. But a person with high standards understands something crucial. They understand that the sequence itself is the path. The sequence is not something you do once and then graduate from. The sequence is something you live in perpetually. Even after you reach a standard, there is a higher standard. Even after you master something, there is something deeper to master. The sequence never ends. Growth is a lifestyle, not a destination. Now let me speak to you about discipline. This word has become unpopular. People prefer to speak about motivation. They prefer to speak about passion. They prefer to speak about finding their purpose. But I want to tell you something that may not be comfortable. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is a feeling, it comes and goes. Some days you wake up and you feel inspired. You feel energized. You feel ready to move mountains. And on those days, taking action is easy. But motivation does not work like this every day. Many days you wake up and you do not feel particularly inspired. You do not feel particularly energized. The feeling is not there. When motivation is present, almost everyone will take action. When the feeling is strong, almost everyone will do what they know they should do. The person at the gym, when they are feeling energized, is not demonstrating anything unusual. The person working hard on their goals when they are feeling excited is not showing us anything remarkable. But what about the day when you do not feel like it? What about the day when motivation has completely abandoned you? What about the day when everything inside you wants to quit, to rest, to skip the work? What do you do then? This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is not a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Discipline is a system. Discipline is a promise you make to yourself that you keep even when the feeling is gone. Think of it this way. A person who relies on motivation is at the mercy of their emotions. They are riding a wave that they cannot control. They will accomplish things on the days when the wave is strong. They will accomplish nothing on the days when the wave is weak. They are not steering the ship, the waves are. But a person who builds discipline takes control of the ship. They decide what will happen independent of how they feel. They build systems. They build routines, they build habits. They decide in advance. On Monday, Wednesday and Friday, I work on this project for 3 hours. It does not matter if I feel like it. It does not matter if I am tired. It does not matter if something more entertaining is available. This is the system. When you build your life around systems instead of feelings, something remarkable happens. Your results become consistent. Your progress becomes predictable. You stop being a person who accomplishes things only when inspired. You become a person who accomplishes things every single day, regardless of inspiration. And here is the beautiful paradox. As you accomplish things through discipline, motivation returns. But it returns differently. It returns as a product of momentum. It returns as evidence. It returns because you are actually building something real. Motivation that comes from actual progress is far stronger than motivation that comes from a feeling alone. The feeling motivates you to start. But actual results motivate you to continue. This is why discipline is more valuable than motivation. Discipline is the bridge. Discipline carries you through the gap between intention and result. Discipline is what you rely on when feeling has failed you. Now I want to speak to you about strategic patience. This concept is not about waiting. Waiting is passive. Strategic patience is active. Strategic patience is understanding that real things take time and committing to excellence during that entire time. In nature, there are seasons. Spring is not summer. Summer is not autumn. Autumn is not winter. Each season has its purpose. A seed does not grow into a tree in one season. It takes years. It takes multiple seasons. The seed must be planted. It must germinate. It must grow roots. It must establish itself. It must grow stronger with each season. Only after many years does it become a mighty tree. If you tried to force a seed to become a tree in one season, you would kill it. The impatience would destroy what you are trying to build. The same is true for anything worth building in human life. Excellence is not built quickly. Character is not built in weeks. Skill is not mastered in months. Relationships are not deepened in brief moments. These things take seasons. Most people fail because they lack this understanding. They enter the work with a timeline that is too short. They expect results in weeks or months, when the work actually requires years. And when the results do not come according to their timeline, they abandon the work. But a person with strategic patience understands something different. They understand that they are not waiting for their future to arrive. They are building their future right now. They understand that every season has its purpose. The current season might be the season of learning. The next season might be the season of building. The season after might be the season of expansion. And throughout all of these seasons, they are maintaining their standards. This is where focus intersects with patience. Because if you are maintaining your focus, if you are guarding your attention carefully, then you can sustain the work for the long seasons it requires. You do not grow weary because you are not trying to do everything. You are doing one thing. You are doing it excellently. You are allowing it the time it needs to grow. Consider the seasons of a year. Spring is not better than winter. Winter is not better than fall. Each season is necessary. Each season prepares for the next. And if you were to resist any season, if you were to say, I do not want this season, I want summer right now, you would be fighting against the natural order. You would exhaust yourself. You would fail. Strategic patience is accepting the seasons of your own growth. It is understanding that you are in a season right now, whatever that season is. And that season has exactly what you need for the next season. This is profoundly different from impatience, which always resists where you are and demands to be somewhere else. Now let me speak to you about feedback and refinement. This is the mechanism by which standards actually improve. It is not enough to have a standard. It is not enough to maintain a standard. You must also refine your standard. You must learn from results. You must measure and adjust. A person committed to excellence is obsessed with measurement. They measure everything that matters to them. They measure their health. They measure their productivity. They measure their relationships. They measure their progress toward their goals. Why? Because measurement reveals truth. Measurement shows you what is actually working and what is not. Many people avoid measurement because it is uncomfortable. Measurement means you cannot hide from results. Measurement means you cannot tell yourself a story about your progress if the numbers say something different. But this is precisely why measurement is so valuable. It is the mirror that shows you what is real. When you measure, you become aware. When you become aware, you can correct. A person who does not measure cannot correct because they do not know what needs correction. But a person who measures carefully knows exactly where to focus their efforts. This is the process of refinement. You establish a standard. You work toward that standard. You measure your progress. You look at the results honestly. You ask, what is working? What is not working? What could I improve? And then you make small adjustments. These adjustments are not revolutionary. They are not dramatic. They are small, incremental refinements. But over time, these small refinements compound into massive improvements. This is because refinement is continuous. It does not happen once. It happens perpetually. You measure, you adjust, you measure again, you adjust again. And each cycle of measurement and adjustment makes your standard more refined, more effective, more powerful. A person who understands this principle is never satisfied, but they are also never discouraged. They are never satisfied because they always see room for improvement. They are never discouraged because they understand that improvement is always possible. This is the psychology of excellence. Now I want to speak to you about momentum. This is perhaps the underestimated force in personal achievement. Momentum is what happens when small actions compound over time. Think about this physically. Imagine a boulder at the top of a hill. To start it rolling requires enormous effort. You must push with all your strength just to get it to move slightly. But once it begins to roll, something changes. The boulder itself begins to do much of the work. Gravity assists. The rolling motion builds. Soon the boulder is rolling down the hill with force, and you are not exerting nearly as much effort as you did at the beginning. This is a metaphor for how achievement actually works. The beginning is hard. The beginning requires disproportionate effort. You are trying to build momentum from nothing. You are trying to make something happen when nothing is happening yet. This is why most people quit at the beginning. The difficulty at the beginning feels like evidence that they are not meant to succeed. But they are misunderstanding how success actually works. The difficulty at the beginning is not a sign of failure. The difficulty at the beginning is exactly what you should expect. The beginning is always hard. And if you can push through the beginning, if you can maintain your standards and your focus and your discipline through the beginning, then momentum begins to build. Once momentum begins, everything becomes easier. Not because the work is easier, but because you are no longer starting from nothing. You have something now. You have evidence. You have progress. You have results. And these results carry you forward. This is why compounding is so powerful. One day of excellent work does not change your life. But one day of excellent work added to another day of excellent work, added to another day of excellent work, added to hundreds more days of excellent work, absolutely does change your life. Most people do not see this. They see a person who has achieved something, and they assume it happened quickly. They assume it happened through talent or luck. But if they could see the full timeline, if they could see all the days of work that happened when nobody was watching, they would see the compounding. They would see momentum building day by day, month by month, year by year. This is why patience is strategic. You are not waiting, you are compounding. You are building momentum that will eventually move mountains. And the only way to build this momentum is through your standards applied consistently over time. A person building momentum does something most people do not do. They celebrate small wins. They do not wait for the massive breakthrough. They recognize that today's small progress is tomorrow's foundation. They understand that momentum is built from thousands of moments of progress, not from one perfect moment. This is where many disciplined people fail, actually. They work hard. They maintain their standards. They build momentum, but they do not acknowledge it. They do not recognize what they are building. They set their standards so high, and they keep their gaze so fixed on the distant goal, that they cannot see the momentum they have already created. And because they cannot see it, they cannot feel it. And because they cannot feel it, they lose it. But a person who truly understands momentum pauses regularly to see what they have built. They look back at where they were. They measure the distance they have come. And they do this not out of arrogance. They do this out of honesty. They do this to reinforce the momentum. They do this to remind themselves that their standards are working. They do this to gather strength for the journey that remains. When you see momentum, when you actually recognize it, something shifts inside you. Your confidence grows, your belief grows, and your next steps become easier because you are not stepping from a place of doubt. You are stepping from a place of evidence. You know what you are capable of because you have already proven it to yourself. Now I want to speak to you about breakthrough. This is the moment everyone seeks. This is the moment when everything changes. This is the moment when suddenly it all comes together. But I want to tell you something that will change how you understand breakthrough. Breakthrough is not a moment. Breakthrough is a lifestyle. Most people treat breakthrough as an event. They think, one day I will have my breakthrough. One day everything will shift. One day I will arrive. And they spend their lives waiting for that day. They spend their lives preparing for that day. They spend their lives hoping for that day. But this entire framework is backward. A person with high standards does not wait for breakthrough. They live breakthrough. They understand that every day is an opportunity for breakthrough. Breakthrough is not something that happens to you. Breakthrough is something you generate. It is something you create through the quality of your work, through the standards you maintain, through the momentum you build. Think about this differently. What if breakthrough is simply the moment when your private excellence becomes visible? What if breakthrough is the moment when the world finally sees what you have already been living? This changes everything. This means breakthrough is not random. Breakthrough is not luck. Breakthrough is the inevitable result of sustained excellence. When you live this way, when you understand that every single day is a breakthrough opportunity, your entire psychology shifts. You do not feel defeated on the days when nothing visible changes. You do not feel hopeless when the world has not yet noticed you. Because you know something true. You know that you are building something real in private. You know that your standards are being met. You know that excellence is being created, even if nobody is watching yet. And here is what happens. Eventually, somebody watches. Eventually, somebody notices. Eventually, the excellence you have been living privately becomes visible publicly. And people call it luck. People call it opportunity. People call it breakthrough. But you know better. You know what it actually is. It is the natural result of standards applied relentlessly over time. This is deeply important because it changes how you handle the waiting period. The waiting period is not a time to be endured. The waiting period is not a time to be suffered through. The waiting period is where your character is actually built. The waiting period is where your standards are actually tested. The waiting period is where the person you will become is being shaped. Most people want to skip the period. They want to go straight to the moment when they are recognized. But this is not how it works. The waiting period is essential. The waiting period is where you prove to yourself that your standards are real. The waiting period is where you prove that you are committed to excellence, not because of reward, but because of principle. Consider what happens in your psychology when you maintain excellence only for external recognition. When you maintain your standards only when someone is watching. In this case, you are fragile, you are dependent, you are only as strong as the next piece of feedback, the next compliment, the next external validation. And most of the time, that validation does not come as quickly as you want it, so you crack. You lower your standards, you begin to compromise. But a person who maintains their standards in private, who maintains excellence whether or not anyone is watching, builds something entirely different. They build integrity, they build character, they build an internal reference point that is independent of external circumstances. This person is solid, this person is reliable, this person is not fragile. And when breakthrough does come, when the world finally notices, this person is ready in a way that goes far beyond simply being prepared. They are emotionally ready. They are psychologically ready. They have already lived the identity that their breakthrough reveals. They are not shocked by their own success because they have already been living that success in private. This is what I mean by breakthrough as a lifestyle. It is not waiting for a moment of breakthrough. It is living at the level of breakthrough right now. It is maintaining the standards of someone who has already succeeded. It is doing the work of someone who is already excellent. And then, inevitably, the world catches up to what you have already become. Now let me speak to you about something that connects all of this together. Everything I have described, standards, focus, discipline, patience, momentum, breakthrough, all of it connects in a single principle. That principle is this: your standards determine your reality. This is not mystical. This is not about positive thinking. This is practical. Your standards determine what you accept. Your standards determine what you tolerate. Your standards determine what you build. Your standards determine who you become. When you raise your standards, everything in your life shifts. Not immediately, not magically, but inevitably. You begin to see opportunities you never noticed before, because now you are looking for excellence. You begin to attract people who are aligned with your standards, because excellence recognizes excellence. You begin to build momentum because consistency is finally directing your efforts towards something real. Conversely, when you lower your standards, everything declines. Not because circumstances changed, but because you changed the requirements. You lowered the bar for what is acceptable. And once you do this once, it becomes easier to do it again, and again, and again. Until the person you have become is so far from the person you intended to be that you cannot even recognize yourself. This is why standards are not negotiable. This is why standards are not optional. This is why the decision about what you will accept from yourself is perhaps the most important decision you will ever make. Think about your life right now. Think about the major areas: your health, your work, your relationships, your learning, your character. In each of these areas, there is a standard currently operating. You might not have consciously chosen it. You might not even be aware of it, but it is there. It is operating right now, determining your results. The person who asks, "What am I currently accepting from myself in this area?" is asking perhaps the most powerful question they can ask. Because the answer is not what you hope you are accepting. The answer is not what you wish you were accepting. The answer is what your actions reveal. Your results reveal your actual standard. And if you do not like your results, the only thing that needs to change is your standard. Not your effort, not your luck, not your circumstances, your standard. This is both liberating and terrifying. It is liberating because it means you have power. It means that right now, in this moment, you can decide to raise your standard. You can decide that you will no longer accept certain things from yourself. You can decide to demand more. And that decision, if you truly mean it, will change everything. It is terrifying for the same reason. Because if your results are your responsibility, if your results are the product of your standards, then you cannot blame external circumstances anymore. You cannot blame others. You cannot blame luck. You have power, and that power comes with accountability. But this is good. This accountability is actually freedom. Because if you are accountable for your results, then you can change your results. You do not have to wait for circumstances to change. You do not have to wait for others to change. You can change right now by changing your standard. Let me give you a concrete way to think about this. Standards operate in concentric circles. The outermost circle is your biggest vision. This is where you want to ultimately arrive. But between here and there are many circles. Each circle represents a standard for this particular season. Each circle represents where you need to be right now to ultimately reach that vision. You do not need to maintain the standard of where you want to be in 10 years. You only need to maintain the standard of where you need to be right now to reach the next circle. This is how you progress. Circle by circle, standard by standard, season by season. The journey becomes manageable because you are not trying to skip steps. You are honoring the process. Many people fail because they try to maintain the standard of their final destination without maintaining the standards of the intermediate steps. They skip the learning season. They skip the practice season. They skip the building season. And then they wonder why they do not have the skill, or the foundation, or the credibility to actually occupy their final destination. But a person who understands the concentric circles knows better. They know that their current standard is exactly right for their current season. They know that if they maintain this standard with excellence, it will prepare them for the next circle. And the standard for that circle will be slightly higher. And they will be ready because they have been building. This is why patience is strategic and why growth is inevitable. You are not staying in the same place. You are moving through circles. But you can only reach the next circle by completing the current one. You can only maintain the standard of the next season by first mastering the standard of this season. Now, let me leave you with this final thought. Every person reading this has a choice. It is a choice you make today. It is a choice you make right now. The choice is this. What standard will you live by? You can choose the standard of convenience, the standard that says, I will do this when it is easy, and I will not when it is hard. This standard is available to you. Many people live by it, and it works. It produces results. It produces a life of mediocrity and regret, but it does produce consistent results. Or you can choose a different standard, a standard that says, this is what I require from myself. This is non-negotiable. This is what I will maintain regardless of circumstances, regardless of feeling, regardless of whether anyone is watching. This standard is harder. This standard requires discipline. This standard requires focus. This standard requires you to say no to many things so you can say yes to what matters. But this standard also produces results. It produces a life of genuine achievement. It produces a life of growth. It produces a life where you look back and you know that you built something real. You know that you became someone worthy. You know that your private excellence created your public success. The standard you choose today is the foundation of your future. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, right now, in this moment, you have the power to choose. And that choice matters more than any talent, more than any opportunity, more than any circumstance. Because here is the ultimate truth. No standards, no success. Success is not built on luck or talent or opportunity. Success is built on standards, high standards, clear standards, standards that you maintain in private, standards that you defend in difficulty, standards that you never lower, no matter how convenient it would be. This is what separates those who achieve from those who wish. This is what separates those who become from those who dream. This is the invisible power that nobody sees but everybody feels. And right now, you have the opportunity to be that person. Not someday, not when circumstances are better, not when you feel more motivated. Right now, by choosing your standard right now, by committing to excellence right now, by deciding that you will not accept less from yourself starting now. This is where success actually begins. Not in some distant future, not when you finally get your breakthrough. Right now, in this moment, with the decision you are about to make, about the standard you are about to live by, about the person you are about to become. Choose wisely, because your standards are your future, and your future is waiting for you to be ready.